Ahsoka episode 3. This episode changes everything. And I mean everything. This episode has introduced a new concept. Well, not really new. It's a concept that I thought about, and I'm sure a lot of other Star Wars fans that think about this sort of thing have thought about and came up with. There was a line somewhere that said something that sowed the seeds for something huge. So let's get into it. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video here on the channel. And today I'm talking about the third episode of the Ahsoka Disney Plus series. Right off the bat, I'm just going to say that this new episode is a lot better than the first two. I don't know what it is, but this episode really had me on the edge of my seat on the second half. And the first half was pretty good too. The first half was, this really did give me Kendo Japanese swordsmanship training vibes. And I really love that. The music, even the music in this episode was great. The music during the Kendo scene, the music during the Purgle chase later on, I'll get back to that. It was all good. This episode was, I don't know. I don't know what happened, what caused the jump in quality, but there is a huge jump in quality from the first two episodes to this one. This is the episode that I think is going to get me hooked to this series. Going to get me hooked to Ahsoka. The first two didn't do it for me, but this one is definitely doing it for me. This one's definitely getting it hard. So the concept that this episode is introducing, or basically solidifying, is that anyone can use the Force. Anyone can wield the Force. Now, that can be either a good thing or a bad thing to certain people. To me, I think it's very interesting. Anyone being able to wield the Force with enough training is a concept that I always thought was possible. I was always like, so if the Force lives in all living things, shouldn't all living things be able to wield the Force, at least to some degree? So basically what Ahsoka is trying to do is teach Sabine, who is not an actual Force wielder, how to wield the Force to a limited extent. I guess you could call Sabine a low M count, a low midichlorian count Force wielder at this point. Or she's gonna become one by the end of this series. I can guarantee it. And I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. That is a very interesting concept. I want to see what that looks like in Star Wars. But the bad of this situation is that, again, anybody can wield the Force, which it's sad to say, but later down the line, that might make for some lazy writing. This sort of concept can get messy very quickly, and I'm afraid where that's going to go. But for now, I think it's going to be handled pretty well, and I can't wait to see what Sabine does while she's wielding the Force, because she's already a decent fighter. And like I said, this episode gives me some strong katana Japanese bullshit that I love sort of vibes. Leave in the comments, what do you think about this new concept of anyone being able to wield the Force and use the Force? Please let me know. This is something that I actually want to know about. I need a discussion about this topic in the chat, like right now. I will reply to you if you talk to me about this, because I actually want to have a conversation about this topic specifically. So, moving on. The chase through the Purgle. This was an exciting chase. Like, actually amazing. As soon as they landed within the vicinity of this planet, the episode just instantly became way better than it had any need to be. I do have a few complaints. I'll get those out of the way first. First of all, their ship tanked way too many shots. Like, Jesus Christ. Their ship should have been blown out of the sky within, I don't know, the first few hits. And then they just went straight into a bunch of cannon fire. I know it's Ahsoka flying, and she wields the Force, so she can probably predict where the shots are coming from. But still, that's a lot of shots that they dodged. And that's a lot of hits that they took and still survived. I don't think they should have survived, not one bit. But this is Star Wars, so this sort of thing happens all the time. I'm used to this already. The rest of this chase sequence, them flying into the hyperspace drive, and then powering down, and then going into the planet, flying through the Purgle, amazing stuff, amazing stuff. The score was amazing. I don't know. The score during this moment, it felt so right that I might even download this track right now. I might go download this track. I'm not gonna play it for you, for YouTube copyright reasons, but this might be a contender for a new, really good Star Wars track. I don't know if this track is completely new though, but it's good. I felt it in this moment. I don't know. This moment, this chase sequence just hits so right for me. So right. So we finally get to see the Purrgil in live action. And boy, they are huge. Their mass from the cartoons, it just feels so much more real in a realistic setting. Like, these things are probably the size of multiple cities, and I think that's insane. I like seeing just big shit. Like, just big ass creatures. And I'm sure that's a feeling that a lot of Godzilla fans can really relate to. But yeah, this chase gave me that feeling. This chase just hit all the buttons. And that was my only complaint, but seriously, that's not really a complaint because I don't know, it's just so good. Okay, so let me try to review let me try to talk about the episode a little bit more. We get to see the first appearance of Hera's kid. And I'm glad they didn't forget about it. This was a very important part of her character. I'm glad that they stuck with the continuity of half Twi'lek children kind of just being human but with different colored hair. I mean, that's kind of a lazy design choice, but I'm glad they stuck with it. And I'm glad that there's some continuity there. That makes me happy. I like continuity. Not every series can have a continuity spanning multiple decades and keep it consistent. Consistency is key for things to make sense and for me to take a series seriously. And right now, with this episode, I'm going to start taking Ahsoka a little bit more serious. Like I said, the first two episodes, trash. This episode, probably some of the best Star Wars. This episode is on the level of Andor. I'm just going to say it. This episode is on the level of Andor for me. And maybe it's on the level of Andor and The Mandalorian Season 1, as far as live action Disney Plus Star Wars go. Fuck Boba Fett. Fuck Kenobi. Fuck The Mandalorian Season 3. So, another thing that I have to comment on. I think it's pretty cool that Mon Mothma is now the Chancellor. So, I hope to see a little bit more of her. I always like when she's on screen. She's an okay character. Especially after I watched, Andor. And they really, really gave her some character. To where she's not just some government lady that's with the rebellion. After Andor, she's an actual character. So, what do I rate this episode? I would say that this episode is 100% definitely 10 out of 10. This shit right here is why I watch Star Wars. I could feel the tension throughout the chase at the end of the episode. If I don't feel that way at some point during an episode, why am I even watching it? But this feeling is why I enjoy watching TV shows and movies, especially science fiction. You can't get stuff like this anywhere else. The part where they get hit and their ship powers down and they're stuck in the middle of space. That's exciting stuff. And you can't have that in any other genre. So yeah, this is science fiction or science fantasy, whatever you want to call it. This is an example of good media in that genre. That's about it. Leave your thoughts in the comments and leave a like and a subscribe if you want to. I really want to discuss what you think about anyone being able to wield the Force with enough training. Is it good or is it bad? All right, have a good one.